Hello, I am Lisa Gardner. I'm the co-founder of OMS Strategic Advisors and host of the Uncompromised podcast, where we do have an unwavering commitment to values, beliefs, integrity, authenticity, character that we believe brings heart and care to an organization. Today, we truly are honored to welcome Vicki Blanton, a towering figure in the legal world and a beacon of leadership and philanthropy. Vicki, as Assistant Vice President, Senior Legal Counsel for AT&T, masterfully manages assets totaling over $100 billion across various benefit plans, demonstrating her exceptional legal acumen and strategic prowess. Her influence extends far beyond her role at AT&T. Vicki currently serves as the president-elect of the Dallas Bar Association, leading an association of approximately 12,000 members. Her journey of service and leadership is studded with significant roles, from being a founding member of the Village Giving Circle of the Texas Women's Foundation to serving on the executive board of the SMU Dedman School of Law. Vicki's dedication to community and justice is unparalleled, having been recognized with presidential awards from esteemed organizations and named as a 2021 Counsel of the Year by American Lawyer magazine. Her commitment to diversity, equity, and the gender wage gap discussion illuminates her as a trailblazer, reshaping the landscape of the legal profession and corporate America as a whole. Please welcome Vicki. Welcome, Vicki.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. What a warm welcome.
Absolutely. Well, I'm just going to get started with the first question. I always want to give observations of why we choose the guest to be on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always one common thread, is that the guests we choose truly meet why we're even doing this podcast. We're not doing a podcast just to talk, just for the, no, it's a podcast with intention of those who've truly shown living a life professionally as well as personally uncompromised. They're authentic, they're genuine, they have integrity. And so, as I had told you in our previous discussion, that was one thing that I had noticed from afar from you, as I've heard you talk in different environments, as well as just following you. And I can't tell you what it is an honor is to have you as a guest.
Oh, well, thank you. I am honored to be here. I've looked at some of your past guests, and Judge Monica Purdy is a good friend of mine, and a member. We are the members of the same sorority, and so I hold her in the highest of esteem. So that I would be considered along with her is truly an honor.
Absolutely. Both of you women really inspire me. You have peers that inspire you, and definitely you and Judge Purdy are two of those for me. So let me get into the first question. There was an article that was published on LinkedIn entitled Leadership Green Flags. I'm just going to talk about leadership first, meaning here are the great things leaders do. And here's just to name a few. They take an interest in your life outside of work. They ask for your ideas. They ask for your feedback on the company's culture. They give every room they walk into a burst of energy. Mm-hmm. They praise in public and they discipline in private. Where have you seen any or all these green flags providing effective leadership within the organizations you have served? And I'm going to tell you, this is the first time that I have asked a guest this question, and I thought this question summed up your leadership of what I've been able to observe from afar.
Oh, wow. That's very generous.
Yes. So tell me a little bit about those green flags. Have you seen that within your environments of how you've been?
Certainly.
And then also, what is it about those green flags that you do and some of the effective outcomes you've seen?
Oh, thank you for that question. It went a different direction than I thought you were with the question I thought you were going to ask me. And so, yes, I've definitely seen that demonstrated in several of my general counsels that I've worked with. I've been very fortunate to work in Fortune 5 companies, some of the largest companies in America. Mm-hmm. And because of the area that I practice, which is the retirement plans, executive compensation, I've had a greater opportunity, I would say, to interact directly with general counsels. And it has really rewarded me in seeing the difference it makes for those who allow me to come into the room and display my expertise, rather than, being conveyed through the line, so that I can provide that direct interaction and feedback where I can see their, you know, uh, as they say, most communication is nonverbal. So I can see, where they're having issues, where they're piecing things together. I realize they're looking at a bigger viewpoint than I am. And so they're slating in the other issues that come along. And so to the extent I'm able to speak with them directly and give that type of feedback, it is very helpful. So the question that I was going to answer that I thought you were going to ask of what I think makes a great leader at the end of the day, and I think all of those things that you mentioned can be summed up. Great leadership is about service and being able to be a servant to others. And so it's kind of oxymoronic because most people think a good leader should be out in front, and they should be because they set the tone. But a lot of times, the leader is, the first person there, the last one to leave. They're thinking about every member of the team. They're thinking about where everything slates in. And so that's what I have seen for those of my general counsel, the ones that I really, really respect, or the head of my department. One of my environments, it was an attorney. At the time, I reported into the tax department. So it was my VP of tax. And he was a great leader. Called you into the office, would let you explain how do we get here, what do we need to do. And he was always, like I said, first one in, last one out, willing to have the dialogue and conversation with you to explain your point of view. Certainly, he did not mind making the hard decisions, but he also explained why he made the decision he made. Because, as I said, they have a bigger view, and they know other issues coming down the pike. And so when a decision is made that I might not even agree with, of course, I'm going to support that. That's the decision. That's the direction we're moving. But it helps so much when you explain to me, why am I moving in this direction? And so those leaders who make themselves available to their people, their staff, their support team, that makes all the difference.
The two key words I heard, and being in business as long as I have is as well, it's servant leadership. You're absolutely right. That culminates the definition of a true good leader. And then all those aspects fall underneath that. I would totally agree. Being available, like you said, an open door, and a good listener, and having empathy a lot of times, being an empathetic leader. There's one thing I was talking to one of my old mentors. Actually, it was Ron Parker. We did some things, taped earlier this week, but we were talking about transformative leadership. And he was talking about the fact is that, a lot of times it's believing in who you are leading and giving them that stretch and that opportunity as well. Because they have what it takes.
Yes.
But then it's giving them the confidence to go forth and do that as well. So just all those things are very important. So Vicki, tell me, what kind of leadership is most effective for women, whether it's in the legal field or in corporate America? What do you believe is the most effective leadership for women?
The most effective leadership for women is to be able to succinctly state your viewpoint, provide direction, make yourself available to your people, and take up space in the room.
Absolutely.
It's challenging for a woman to not be seen as too much of one or the other. quite frankly, it should be the same qualities as for men, but so much is automatically given and assumed for men that isn't for women. So I think women have to think more about those, how they project than men do.
A great answer. You know, it leads me to also this question. What is some of the processes you've used when you've walked into a room where maybe there's no one who looks like you, right? How,
Often that is the case.
quite often, how do you emerge as a voice that's heard? How do you emerge as a leader in that room? Um, and making sure that you are visibly seen and heard and letting the room realize that you are here to be a value add and truly make a contribution. What processes have you taken when you walk into a room like that?
First of all, a lot of the work is done before you get to the room, right? Understand who's going to be in the room.
Mhm.
Understand why you have been called into this room. You're there for a reason. Thus, your opinion, it should not be a surprise that you have an opinion, a voice, perspective, something to say. Otherwise, trust and believe that they would not have you in that room in the first place. You have something to add. Then, when you walk into the room after you've done all your background work, when you walk into the room, be present in the room. This is not the time to think about, did I start the dishwasher? Uh, I've got to get the kids to soccer tonight. Uh, I mean, I'm not saying all of those thoughts don't cross your mind,
Mhm.
but be present in the room, or else you may miss something when it is your time, when it is your cue to jump in and speak to the issue, the reason that you're there. They may not necessarily call you by name, but if you're paying attention to, you will also get the information you need sometimes to connect the dots, like I said, of getting that broader, bigger picture of what's going on or what's really happening, or you're a small little piece of that, the issue that's preventing the big project from moving forward. You will get that information from the other people in the room. And you also will get information of the concerns for the other stakeholders. And then it becomes thinking about, well, how help me help you, help me help you. So that you can become a value add to helping to solve other people's problems. um, so often we get so caught up in, what are people thinking about me? I can tell you, they're not thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves and what they need to accomplish. So be present in the room and listen about what else is going on in that room other than the issue on the table or the issue that you're there to speak to. And the third part about it is getting ready to leave the room. What are the action items? What are the follow-ups? What's the opportunity of, someone speaking to that next big project, and maybe you do have a small little piece of it, but now you see an opportunity to get onto another issue or a bigger issue or a more integral issue to make yourself the value add to the team, not just the one-off, um, you know, uh, expertise that you have for one area. And that allows you to expand not only your own professional development, but your network as well. Because again, you're starting out with happy to help you with that. Let me follow up. I know someone about that. I read an article the other day. Let me send you that email when I get back to the desk. Happy to have lunch or coffee with you to discuss this further. And then that leads to additional conversations And that gets you integrated into what is really going on into the business. And they will see you not only as just a resource for your area expertise, but also as reliable and a good, if it gets to that point, a good confidant to find out what else is going on in the business.
Very good. Very good, Vicki. Just to sum up your answer, I'm a pet peeve about the pre-meeting before the meeting. So you're like, okay, before you ever get to the room, you need to make sure you're ready. Pre-meeting before the meeting of whoever's in attendance, right?
That's right.
To understand the objectives. I think you even hit on being a listener, but even a non-verbal listener. So catching non-verbal cues, right, within the room. That was okay. But the post meeting, I love how you said that. The post meeting is just as important because you would have observed some things during the meeting where you understand who to follow up on if there is a common objective that you're trying to meet or you're trying to solve for. You understand who could help you get there, right?
Yes, for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
And they may be helpful to you. They may be a resource for other projects that you have going on your desk. And so you always have to be vigilant about, who's there, who you can help, and who can help you.
So good. Very good. Very good. What do you believe? Actually, I'm going to go to this. And I'm not going to, but there's been a lot of news recently, and I had read an article that disturbed me. I think about the fact that I've been in corporate since 30 plus years, and right when I entered in, DE&I initiatives were really taking off. And you have those pioneers of those D&I initiatives. When you mention, a Ron Parker or Maurice Cox for me, coming out of PepsiCo and just a few others, and Fudge, right? Ursula Burns, right? These are just pioneers, people who set the foundation of D&I and really took the risk, right? And really educated us, through ELC, Executive Leadership Council, and that kind of thing, right? And so, you think about all the grassroots efforts that you have made within your own career as I looked back on it, as well as those that I just named who poured their life into it, right? And I read an article where they were trying to redefine D&I as reverse racism. And so here's the question I pose to you. How would you define D&I to make those understand that it's a win-win for all? For all.
Yeah.
What is the benefit for all within an organizational entity? What is the win-win for all in the marketplace that we serve, right? Meaning clients or whatever that means. Just how do you simply define D&I from that standpoint?
If you want the best and brightest, you have to look everywhere for it. If you limit your pool in any way, you're going to limit your outcome. It may be the best and brightest within your limited scope, but then do you get the best result? Do you get the best outcome? If you don't give any consideration that the world you live in is not monolithic, it is not, one viewpoint, one voice, then are you truly seeking the best result? You couldn't possibly be. Now, that's been allowed to work in certain circumstances for a certain period of time, depending on, how you define it. Some people, yes, I want one homogenous, one world. The truth of the matter is, what what DEI, D and EI, and I want to say B for belonging brings to the table is everybody getting credit for the input that they've given. That's, to me, is the issue, is people getting proper credit and remuneration, even just plain old honor for what they have contributed to the organization. And if you have decided, whoever the ubiquitous you is, have decided that the appropriate reward is X, why shouldn't the person who brings the best and brightest also be rewarded with X? That's neutral.
That's neutral, absolutely.
And that's the part that I don't think anyone can argue with that unless you have decided, even though this person may be of a diverse characteristic now, but they are the best and brightest of us all, that because of that diverse characteristic, it is diminished in some way, even if it is the best and brightest idea. That is illogical, because again, we have decided the best and brightest should be rewarded with X, which is neutral.
Very good.
That's the best that I can come up with from the standpoint of a lot of the DEI B programming wanting or the attacks on DEIB programming. Because if you truly are seeking excellence, I don't know that excellence has a hue. Also, I know in our society, if you look at it, diverse communities have always contributed the best and brightest. They've just not been rewarded for it. That is the difference.
Very good. I think that's a definite, I think the way you just defined it, everyone should be able to understand that, that was the basis and the foundation of it, that everyone came to the table. I believe that someone said, which you have said as well, that the best innovation and creativity comes to the table when we all can represent the best ideas. The business we're in, we always explain that it's important for those around the table to look like the marketplace that you're serving. Because when you look like the marketplace you're serving, then you're doing the very best for the client. Because that client also serves the same marketplace, right? Exactly. So leaders around the table that bring the diverse thought leadership, the diversity in gender and race and culture and whatever that is, right? We are bringing the best ideas to the client, which means we're servicing them at capacity at that point, right?
That's right.
I think we've all said it in so many ways, and it does. And I think it holds true for institutions, educational institutions. It holds true for a lot of different entities, every entity actually. Whatever we're in, legal, consumer product, whatever it is, right? So it's good. That's good. What have you noticed, Vicki, with people who are capable of initiating change? Why are they hesitant? There's times when they're hesitant. What do they seem to compromise the most?
What they compromise the most is, how do I say this? Their ability to build the bridges they could have. That collaboration, the trust factor that allows, you and I to come together and work together on a program and a project. If I don't really know that I can trust you, because you've shown yourself to be hesitant to really be supportive, to be collaborative in the truest sense of I'm bringing us all along, then I'm going to again become hesitant to give my best ideas and to be able to think about that, we're all in this together. I'm going to hold back a little bit because I really don't know what your dynamic is. And so I believe what they're losing out is the trust factor that goes along of interacting with that other person, again, to bring the best ideas to the table.
I want to ask you two more questions. Here's one that I want you. What leaders have inspired you and why? Who has been, there's a difference also between sponsorship and mentorship.
Yeah.
Who has mentored you, or what leaders have inspired you, and what leaders have sponsored you? That means they, of course, sponsorship meaning they promote you when you're not looking, behind closed doors, right?
Right.
When you're not in the room, right?
And that goes to when I talk to and mentor younger people coming up. And I said this many, many years ago and did not know how impactful it was until I heard it said back to me. But I said, you should already be in any room you walk into before you get there. Meaning, just, we were speaking earlier about a reception and you said someone mentioned me. I wasn't there, but I was there because
exactly.
I was
sponsored
mentioned.
you. Absolutely.
The presence of me, if my name comes up, or they're thinking back to something I've said, or something about the moment resonated with them, or my interaction with them resonates to a point they carry that with them into their next interaction. So I would say for me, one mentor that I have, and I still have, attorney here in town, Demetrius Sampson, who was the very first Black man or woman to make partner in Dallas at a major firm. She is still very much my mentor. I still seek her out for counseling and guidance. She's able to see a perspective. And what she did, not only in giving me my very first clerkship, which set me on a path, she also took us everywhere as clerks, as her clerks. If she was going to a meeting, she took us there. She had an opportunity where she was sitting on a bench as a visiting judge, and she took us there so we could see someone sitting on a bench. She took us to city council meetings. She took us to bar meetings. She took us everywhere. Wow. So she didn't have to tell us about it. You were there. You saw it. You saw the interaction. You saw her model what it is to be in those spaces as the only one. Many times, not only the only woman, not only the only Black person, but the only Black woman in the room, and still have a voice that is to be used, that is to be expressed, that is to be considered at the table. Second mentor I had was Judge Sam Lindsay.
Mm-hmm.
He stood up for me and set me on my career path that I'm on now, due to his leadership when he was the city attorney for the city of Dallas. He gave me this position a lot. He promoted me into doing an employee benefits. And, you know, the attorney, senior attorney that I was working for made no bones about that. He did not want me. He did not want me. He didn't think I was capable. He didn't think I could do it. It was too complex. Yeah, 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 yeah. And Judge Lindsay, then Mr. Lindsay, the city attorney, said, let's give her a try. I think she can do it. Very seldom do people, and particularly women of color, get the stretch assignment. And that's what I tell, again, young people, ask for the stretch assignment. Others are allowed the stretch assignment and they are allowed the room to fail in the stretch assignment. Well, that's okay. That's not their bailiwick. That's not their strength. Let's try them at something else. If we fail, and by we, I mean Black women, Blacks, or diverse populations, I'll say it that way. We bring in the weight of, if I don't get it right, then I potentially am foreclosing anyone else that looks like me from ever getting the opportunity again, much less my own advancement being stunted. Judge Lindsay allowed me the stretch assignment, allowed me to go into a space in an area of law I had never even heard of, I never even knew existed. And it is now 25 plus years later, and I'm still practicing in this area of law. And it has been a very rich and rewarding career. Finally, I would say, as you mentioned about kind of DEI programming, particularly in corporate America, very fortunate. My first in-house counsel job was at JCPenney. JCPenney had a very robust DEI programming in that it had the most Black executives I had ever, probably of any company at that time. There were no less than, Win Watkins was a member of, ELC, and
No,
he,
very well.
brought that along. Love Win, gotta love. I haven't seen him in a very long time.
I haven't either. Neither is my husband. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also personally to me, whom I am still in contact, Ron Brown, who created the Middle Managers Conference.
Yes.
And you had to spend your own dime to get there, but it was like a Thursday to Sunday event. And they had the CEO, the entire C-suite came to that conference. And it was the opportunity for the managers of a certain level to come together, the diverse managers, and to interact directly with the C-suite. We had programming. So I got to engage and be involved because at the time I was practicing employee benefits. So I was often a speaker and I was allowed to, speak on various topics. And that made a huge difference, not only just in the fact of coming together, networking, building relationships, oftentimes into friendships from across the country, such that if you had issues, you had your own personal group that you can kind of discuss and work, triage issues and problems with. But it also gave you the opportunity this is how you behave as an executive. I
Yes.
give you the opportunity to model, to see how you walk into a room. How do you greet the CEO? How do you interact with the CFO? How do you conduct yourself at a corporate function beyond? Because you have to get to a certain level before you're able to travel, before you're able to go to corporate events, before you're able to represent the company at these various dinners and things. This was a training ground and all those soft skills that are
Yes.
so hard to convey. And even in this environment now with the whole virtual and everything, we're losing them day by day by day. And I get it, we replace it with other things, but at the same time, there is nothing like the face-to-face direct interaction with someone. And
Absolutely.
that opportunity, I'm forever grateful to that core group of 5 or 6 um, Black executives, Black and Brown executives, who allowed us that level of access. And that makes a huge, huge difference.
You're taking me back in a period of time of my own life, and you're absolutely right. They taught you all the things, of course, that you could not learn in the classroom.
Mm-mm.
All those, yes, even so much as when you come up and meet someone and you're holding your briefcase, that was more for the men, how they set it down, how they shook hands and picked it back up, just the whole demeanor of
Yes.
everything, right? Your whole
Right.
presentation, which was your first impression of your
That's right.
professionalism, right? Oh, that brings back many memories. Absolutely. And when you
Mhm.
mentioned Win Watkins, did you see that grin that came across my face?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Ah, just just a great, great mentor as well, and sponsor for me as well.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's awesome. Well, I can't tell you how grateful I am for this time. You, I didn't expect anything less but your authenticity, and you were able to speak on, a great amount of things in a way that I believe that the listeners will truly understand. This is about exposure, education. It's about thought leadership, understanding what we're facing today, and having leaders such as yourself express those corporate norms or going outside those corporate norms um, in the way you think about things and the way you interact. So thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really am always amazed but appreciative that what I have to say will add value. And my whole goal at this point, if I can save someone a step or two along the way in sharing this knowledge, which is the true wealth that I have to give, then, as they say, it shall not be in vain.
Absolutely. Well, we all say, it comes a time, it's just not about us. Now it's about laying legacy, right?
That's
And,
right.
and that's exactly where we all are in this particular season of life, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
So, yes. So, and Vicki, I also look forward to, I'm going to have our team reach out, but I want to have lunch. We need a face-to-face, some more face-to-face.
Oh, I definitely look forward to that.